Thanks for that introduction, Dominic, and thanks to everyone that's made it to the last session. So Peter Wright's my name, an Executive Director at Greenwing Resources. We are a company that's unashamedly aligning ourselves with what we think is an enduring dislocation between supply and demand in both graphite and lithium. We've all been involved in lithium and graphite for 12 to 13 years, very well credentialed staff and senior management, which I'll run through now. See there the standard disclaimer. If anyone wants to go through that and speak to me after the presentation, that is fine. Why Greenwing? Look, in a nutshell, we think a pretty compelling opportunity. We stand in front of you with a market cap of circa $30 million. 12 of that is cash. We've just received a major investment from a circa $20 billion New York Stock Exchange listed company, NEO Inc., who are an emerging and leading electric vehicle manufacturer. We previously mined. We built a graphite mine in Madagascar, which we still own 100% of. We produced everything from super jumbo flake concentrate to fine flake graphite. Everyone on the board has operated assets external to Greenwing previously. Our chairman, Rick Anthon, has been involved with Allchem/Orocobre since its inception. We've all got sort of 20 to 25 years plus experience in mining investment and development. We're in good jurisdictions. Madagascar, the first thing I get is, well, what about the cartoon? It's nothing like that. It's a great country to go to. The people are fantastic, very resourceful, generally trilingual, which a lot of people don't know, but just I say to people, if you want to be listened to in Madagascar, don't speak French, as they're quite unpopular. Just touch a bit on NEO. So NEO Inc. are an emerging electric vehicle manufacturer. They're based in China at the moment. They make premium vehicles. So it's like an iPad on wheels with a fantastic engine and fantastic accompaniments in the cabin. They did a thorough and exacting due diligence on us and our tenure and the ability to take it forward. It went for the best part of 9 months, which we're very grateful to our CEO, for Craig Lennon, for bringing that to a conclusion. They did that at 55 cents, so we're currently trading at 22, I think. We're very well funded for the coming 12 to 18 months. We're not looking to approach the market for funding. Part of that deal was they have an option upon us declaring a JORC compliant resource to buy up to 40% of the asset for $80 million US, which value the whole thing at $200 million US, which is a lot higher than our current market cap in Australian. The funds are primarily to execute a drill program there and find a resource. We've done a lot of preparatory work, TM surveys, geochemistry, geophysics. We feel we've got a pretty good handle on what we think is there without stating anything explicitly. NEO themselves are looking to get to 1 million vehicles in the next 5 to 6 years. All of these businesses, be it battery manufacturers, the first iteration of lithium boom, or indeed NEO and other companies, their companies are essentially redundant without feedstock. And I'll get to it in a moment, but I'm very much of the view that what we're seeing now in lithium and graphite, yes, the market will ebb and flow and get over enthusiastic, but it will always reconcile back to there's an undersupply of lithium, graphite, copper, nickel, all these things. And as long as that's the case, these stocks are always going to be operating in a pretty healthy context. Maybe someone could flick the page for me. Oh, here we go. It's a little bit more on NEO, which I've largely touched on. So they're based in China. They operate around the Shanghai region predominantly. They have a unique battery charging and swap out model, which they've had great success with in China. They only started in 2015, so you sort of ponder your own limitations when you look at what they've done over 7 years compared to what myself or others might have achieved over similar timeframes. It's just extraordinary what they've done, and they're fantastic to deal with. So they're going into Scandinavia now, then Germany, then North America, ultimately Asia Pacific, including Australia. As I said, we're deliberately focused on what we think is an enduring dislocation between supply and demand. our first incision into that was graphite. We built a graphite mine and operated it pre-COVID, which I'll get to. We have a lot of experience in lithium within the company. Rick Anthon, our chairman, has been involved with Allchem/Orocobre since inception. Craig Lennon, our CEO, was one of the key people in progressing and ultimately commissioning the Ramu nickel cobalt plant in the north of Papua New Guinea, which is now effectively a money printing press. And our view is that it's taken a long time for supply to balance with demand, much like iron ore from the late 90s to 2010. You had 12 to 18 month periods there where consensus of analysts was iron ore was $60 a tonne, and yet it was trading over $200 a tonne. That's because you simply couldn't get any of it out from the existing infrastructure. In the corporate overview, I've touched on a lot of this. Spoken about Rick and Craig. We also have James Brown, who I've worked with for over 12 years. James is the MD of Morella Resources at present. He's a director of Sayona. So he's commissioned and operated graphite mines, coal mines, along with Alan Zhang, who's come on board from NEO. He's had some fantastic insights into end markets and what manufacturers are looking for. We're really well served in executive and senior management capacity. And obviously Craig sits there as the CEO running the company. 2 locations, Argentina, right in the lithium triangle, and Madagascar, where we have what was our operating asset, Graph Marda. It's on the northeast cape of Madagascar, and we also have in the middle of Madagascar a really interesting hard rock lithium project, which is Millie's Reward, which is named after my second daughter. That's the actual sailor. I think that's Murray Brooking, who's consulting to us, which we're very happy about. You can see here, and it is a big land package. It's a 2,600 hectare sailor, the San Francisco sailor, which just translates to St. Frank, basically. It sits within the broader tenement package, which is San Jorge, which translates to St. George. Pretty straightforward. It's 15 granted exploration licences. We own 100% of them. We also have 100% ownership of the 36,000 hectares surrounding it. So it's a pretty impressive package we've put together there in a prolific producing region. We've completed a lot of work to date. Most of the surface samples seem to centre around 200 ppm, which is very encouraging. Surface depth, average of 600 down to 800 metres with a 2,600 hectare exposed salar. That volumetrically implies there's a potential for a pretty reasonable resource there, which we're yet to drill, so it's all speculation. We are looking to get underway drilling there soon. We are at the final stage of permitting. We need an environmental permit for our drilling program, which we're waiting on. We've cleared the mines department. It's a common problem in Catamarca province. They're overrun with applications, so hopefully we'll be away soon. World's premier jurisdiction for lithium. Often say the lithium triangle is to lithium what the Pilbara is to iron ore. I'm just mindful of time here, so I'll go over a couple of these reasonably quickly. We methodically go through the steps of creating value. We've all done it in companies other than Greenwing previously. We think we're right on track to do it again with Greenwing. So we need the environmental permit for the drilling, maiden drilling program, bulk brine sampling, hoping to declare a maiden resource over the next 12 months. It's an aerial. Some of the work that we've done, you might be able to see there just on the bottom edge of the western salar is where we are going to drill our first 4 to 5 holes. These targets were conceived pre-NEO. So we have a view that the mineralisation extends out undercover to the west of the salar. So we'll drill on the boundary of the salar and then look to follow that up with a comprehensive program in the middle of the exposed salar. Millie's Reward, as I touched on, look, it has an outstanding surface signature. I haven't seen too much like that before. There's a lot of lithium somewhere in Madagascar. If you go to the Avato markets there, they sell these translucent lithium crystals, which are basically 7% lithium oxide. We think there is something here, so we're progressing that project with a view to revisiting it in the second half of the year. Our iteration is not the right word. Our first exposure to these fundamentals is graphite. We built, commissioned and mined a project in Madagascar in the northeastern Cape. It's where 80% of the population of Madagascar is. We're right near Amatovi. So that's a $6 to $7 billion project. It's a well-established jurisdiction. Really enjoy working in Madagascar. The locals, as I said, are fantastic to work with. We haven't had any trouble there. We have, I think it's 23 years remaining on each of the mining permits. 95% of our ore body sits under those two permits. Look, everything goes wrong in a commissioning process, as anyone that's commissioned a mine will attest, but the one thing that held us back in the first iteration of Graph Mada was the price for fine flake graphite went from 900 to 300 over the 2 years we produced. What held us up was we had a 45% split of large flake and above, which is the premium product. That sector of the graphite complex isn't as dynamic as battery anode, but it's much higher priced. So our resource is 91% large flake and above in situ. You can see there, so the mineralisation effectively starts at Loharano and extends right down to the southern extremity of the package, which is Ambata Fafana. We've just had our best results at Ambata Fafana. Over COVID, we kept pretty busy. We took the resource from 14 million to 62 million. We're pondering, not necessarily committing to this year, a follow-up drill program at Graph Mada, in much the same way as has been the case with San Jorge. We need a strategic partner for Graph Mada. We want to make it a lot bigger. All the portents are there to make it much bigger. The infrastructure is established. We know how to export. We didn't have a tonne penalised or rejected. It's a statement of fact. We qualified into the EU. We qualified into America. We sold into China. India, we sold a lot of graphite into. It's actually a really good market. And we sent some cargoes to Japan. It was ultimately 43 different counterparties that we sold to. So we've done a lot of hard work there at stage one, and stage two is really about capitalising on that and the platform that's been set with a strategic partner. It is hard with $30, $35 million market cap to be wearing all the risk of producing, and the smallest things can cause problems, and they generally do. But overall, we're very happy with what we did in the first couple of years there at Graph Mada, and want to make that a much larger mine and take that forward in parallel with what we're doing at San Jorge. So delivering on milestones, we like to think we're a company that does what we say. We did commission a mine in Madagascar. A lot of people thought we wouldn't. We did produce. We produced successfully. We produced to every concentrate specification. We sold every tonne that we produced. We have fantastic lithium IQ within the company. I think it's a really strong endorsement of the company and its management and CEO that we're able to secure such funding from NEO at such a premium to the current share price. Really looking forward to getting underway drilling there this year. We're going to deliver a study for the graphite, and that will be inclusive of 2 years of production, so it'll be very well based, very comprehensive metallurgy, which is the hardest thing to do, work out how to actually put the stuff in a bag and hit specification. So I've got a minute to go. I'll just finish how I started. I think we're a really interesting company to be looking at. We're, I think, competitively priced. We have a well-articulated pathway forward, and we've got considerable achievements in our past. So I won't be able to come over to the booth because this is the last session, but if anyone would ever like to get hold of me, you can find us at info@Greenwing Resources or peter@greenwingresources.com. So thank you for your time, and look forward to hearing from you. Ta.